Hello and welcome to another Minecraft Bedrock Edition add-on, showcase and tutorial video. Today we're going to be looking at my new Avatar and Player Heads add-on, which allows you to create scenes in your game and your world a little bit like this. Basically, if you don't know already, I like to tell stories in Minecraft Bedrock Edition, and normally in order to do it I need lots of friends or lots of alt accounts and lots of devices or lots of armor stands. But now, I can do it with just things, entities, and player heads. So how does it work? Well, basically, player heads already exists. If you die, you get your player head, and what I've done is allowed you to then craft those using armor stands into posable avatars, which you can then switch the skins around of, change the poses, and basically do what you want with. Interested? Good. Right, well, let's get on with it, shall we? Because this is not a fully automatic add-on, sadly, because Bedrock Edition makes it impossible to get hold of the skin files or player data inside of the actual game. So there's a little bit of work to do if you want this add-on working for you. So let's get into it. First things first, nice and easy, head yourself over to foxynotel.com, go to the download section, and in the download section you'll find avatars and player heads. If it's not there on the list, you can search for it, and it will come up. Then just click it, click the download button, and then click that link, and then all you need to do is find a nice place to download it to. Then I'm going to open up the zip file. In there we have a license file and a readme file, and if we open the readme file you can see all of the instructions that I'm going to tell you are already in here if you want to find it later without having to watch this video. Also inside the zip file you will see there is an avatars.mc add-on file. We're going to open that up, and that is going to launch Minecraft, and it's going to start importing that add-on. You will see at the top if it works or not, and you can see that has successfully imported it in for me. That's the behavior pack, and there goes the resource pack, which means I can now use that in worlds. So for the sake of this video, let's make a test world, and let's enable the holiday creator features experiment, because it needs that, because it is an experimental pack. And now I'm going to go to behavior packs, my packs, Foxy's avatars, activate it, click continue, and if I go to resource packs as well, I should see that the resource pack side of that is also active. Now what I'm going to do is click create. So I'm now in a flat world, and if I go into the creative inventory and type in player, you will see we have 10 player avatars and 10 player heads. Now these are not actually assigned to any particular players, they're not assigned to my skin, and if I die it's not going to give me one because we've got some more setup to do. But just to show you how this works, if you've got a player head, that will work like normal. You can place it on the ground, or you can place it on your head and wear it, or you can pop an armor stand down and place it on the armor stand. Great! And like many of my add-ons, using an assortment of dies on it while it's on the floor will do things like moving it about and spinning it round and all that sort of good stuff. The other thing we can do with it is chuck it in our crafting grid, put an armor stand underneath it, bearing in mind it does have to be underneath, it is a shaped crafting recipe, and there we go, we get the avatar. That's how you make the avatars in survival, and then when we put that down we will get Steve, and if we click Steve with dies, Steve is also going to do interesting things as well. Now the yellow and the blue die are quite important. If I click in with the yellow die, you'll see that Steve will cycle through 3 different skins. That means for each player that you give this to, you can have 3 different variations of their skin, meaning that they can have different variations of their skin. Great. And then with the light blue die, if we click him, you will go through 30 different poses which allow you to pose this character in all sorts of different ways. And if you're not satisfied with all of those poses, then if you get your other dies out, you can spin him round, you can move them about, and using the pink die, you can even make them fly. There's no gravity on these things, so you can do all sorts of crazy things and create all sorts of crazy poses, which is great, but it would be better if they look like us and not Steve, right? Well, before we get to the really complicated bit of doing that, I just want to show you a couple more things that these can do. Starting with items and armor. A little bit like an armor stand where you can put armor on it. You can put armor on these things, but you can't put it on directly. What you have to do is actually chuck it on the floor, and then they'll pick it up and they'll wear it, which is great. However, if you have moved all of your poses and got them looking exactly where you want them to look, and you don't want them fiddling with, and then you chuck an item on the floor where they can't reach it, they're all going to turn around and look at that item because they want to get to it, but they can't get to it because they can't move. So now they're all over the place. But what I can do to stop them from doing that is I can hit them with the magenta die, and once you've used the magenta die, they are completely locked now. They won't do anything. They won't pick up items. They won't turn around. I can't use any dies on them to change their pose or their skin or anything like that. I can't even hit them to break them. They're completely locked. If I want to change them again, if I unlock them with the magenta die again, you can see he's going to turn around to look at that item. I'm going to chuck him a diamond because he obviously really wants one. But he wants this one. So I'm going to take that one away and then he'll pick that one up. And then I'm going to beat him to death. And that's how we get the avatar back and the items and the armor that he's carrying. So there we go. That's all of the fun stuff that you can do with them to create amazing scenes. Now what we're going to do is actually make it work, which means closing Minecraft. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is want to navigate to your com.mojang folder, which is inside of your app data. If you're on Windows 10 or if you're on an Android device or an iOS device, it could be hiding anywhere. Who knows? Anyway, it's normally within the games folder. Once you found your com.mojang folder, then what we need to do is actually move the files first. If we go into behavior packs, you'll see that it's put our new avatar add-on inside of there. It's also put the resource pack part of the add-on into the resource packs folder, which is great, and that's technically right, but we want them somewhere else to make life easy for us. So what I'm going to do is come to this folder here inside of the behavior packs folder, and I'm going to click cut. I'm going to come back to our games folder, and then I'm going to go into the development behavior packs folder, and I'm going to click paste in there. And that's going to mean that we don't have to keep messing about with UUIDs in order to work on this. Then I'm going to go back to my resource packs folder, click on our avatar folder there, again click cut, go back a level into development resource packs, and then we're going to click paste there. When your packs are held in the development folders, they don't stay cached, which means that you can work on them without having to keep changing the UUIDs, and then when you finish working with them, then you can put them back into the correct folders. Anyway, now that we've got those in there, we're going to go into the resource packs folder, so development resource packs where we just moved it to, Fox's Avat, which it's renamed it to for some reason, and then we're going to go into the textures folder, and you'll see inside there are 10 folders named player 1 to 10. This add-on will work for up to 10 different players in one world, and the reason I've chosen 10 players and not more or less is because, generally speaking, Minecraft Realms have a player limit of 10, and that's probably where this is most likely to be used. If you need more than 10 player slots, then you will have to learn how to make add-ons so that you can duplicate the files that you need to and move things around in order to create more. Anyway, we're not going to get bogged down in that. What we're going to do is to go to player 1, and you'll see inside player 1's folder there are 5 files, 5 images. Avatar item, player head item, skin 1, skin 2, and skin 3. And you can change all of these, or you can just change the skin ones. It's totally up to you. If we look closely at the avatar item, you can see that's the item we were holding in game that we placed on the ground to create the avatar. You can change that using a photo editing program to have the right head for the right person if you really want to, or you can leave it with Steve's head. Likewise, you can do exactly the same thing with the player head one, and for each player, so player 1 in this case is going to be me, you can do the same thing, and you'll see each of these folders for each of the different players all have those same 5 pictures which you can change for each player. Now, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not going to change the avatar item or the player head item. I'm just going to change the skins so that it looks like me. So I've prepared a folder here called skins, and before we go anywhere else, there's another complicated thing I need to try and explain. One day during development of Minecraft, the powers that be decided that they wanted to create an entirely new skin model that only had 3 pixel wide arms. I don't understand why that they chose to do this, because it makes everything incredibly complicated and really difficult, but they did. So we have Steve that has a 4 pixel wide arm. You can see here the front and the backs of his arms are 4 pixels wide, and here we've got Alex, who has 3 pixel wide arms. Each one of her arms, the front and back, are 3 pixels wide. And because of that, they both require completely different models inside of the game in order to render them properly, which does cause us a little bit of a problem. Now, the pack that I've created does actually have the models for both, which means that if some of your players use the Alex skin model with the thinner arms, then you can choose that skin model to use for that player. However, we can't mix and match per player. For instance, on player 1, which is me, I couldn't have one of my skins be the Steve skin and one of my skins be the Alex skin, because each player can only have one player model. So I need to choose, am I going to use skins that only have the 4 pixel wide wide arms, or am I going to use the skins that only have the 3 pixel wide arms? Not a bit of both. And just to sidetrack quickly to show you how to choose which model each player will have, you can go to the entity folder inside of the resource pack folder. When you open that up, you'll see there are 10 avatar entities and 10 player head entities. It's the avatar we're interested in. That's the one that's got the model. Let's say it's player 2 that's decided they're going to use the thin arms model or the Alex skin model. If we open that up, you'll see at the top here there is a variable style. Now what I've done here is I've actually put a comment in to tell you if you change that to 1, it will use the Alex thin arms. So this is for player 2. If I change that there to 1, that will mean that player 2 will have thin arm skins. If they use the Steve skins on those, it'll probably look alright, but if you use the Alex skins on style 0, which is the Steve skin style, you'll have a gap in your textures. So now that we know that, we can decide which skins we're going to be using. Now I have 3 Foxy No-Tail skins here that all have the Steve skin style with the 4 pixel wide arms, and all I'm going to do is copy and paste those into our player 1 folder. I'm going to delete skin 1, skin 2 and skin 3 that already exist in there, and all I'm going to do is rename these to skin 1, skin 2 and skin 3. So now player 1's textures will have my skins, but it's still not linked to me as the player. I'm still not going to get those when I die. Before we link those, there's one more thing you can do inside of the resource pack if you really want to, and that's to go into the text folder, enus.lang. You can open that up in your favorite text editor, and you can change it so it comes up with your name rather than player 1 up, for instance. For the avatar for player 1, I'm going to change player 1 to Foxy, and then when I'm holding those items, it will say Foxy's avatar or Foxy's head, depending on what item I'm holding. So I'm done with that. I'm going to close out of that. I'm now going to go out of development resource packs and into development behavior packs, into Foxy's avatars, and I'm going to go into the functions folder, and in there is a file called players.mcfunction. If we double click on this, we can see that there are 10 lines, and each line basically says give player 1 player head item 1, give player 2 player head item 2. This basically activates when the player dies, and it allows you to get the item. But my name isn't player 1, my name's Foxy No-Tail. My gamer tag is Foxy No-Tail. So I need to put Foxy No-Tail in there if I want to be given player head item 1 when I die. If I'm not player 1, if I'm actually player 4, then I need to put my gamer tag in there. Bearing in mind your gamer tag needs to be spelt exactly right. If your name is the cool dude and it has capital T, capital C and a capital D, then you need to put capitals in there. Likewise, if your name has a space in it, then you need to use quotes and put name with a space, or whatever your name happens to be with the spaces in. That way the game will know to give it to the right person. If your name is the cool dude with capitals and you just put in the cool dude without, it's not going to give you the items when you die. So that's how we link it to the players. I'm just going to put player 2 and player 3 back to normal. My name is now linked to player head item 1, which means, hopefully, if we go back into the game, you can see that all of those models now have my skin. You'll also see that player 1 doesn't exist when I type that in, because it's now going to be found under Foxy, because we renamed the items in the text file. So now if I put my avatar down there and my player head down there, they're going to have the right textures, and if I click them with yellow dye, I can cycle through each one of the skins that I put in there, which is great. But will it give me my head when I die? Well, there's only one way to find out. We'll set our game mode to survival. We'll kill ourselves, and hopefully when we click respawn, yes, there we go. Look, we've got Foxy's head in our inventory, which means I can then grab an armor stand, craft it into an avatar, and then I can start placing these around the world. And it really is as simple as that. So there's like one file you've got to change and a few textures you've got to replace. I can't make it any easier for you. If I could, I would, I promise. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to download it, head over to foxynotail.com. It is free as always. Let me know how you get on with it, and if you've got any issues, let me know on my Discord. That's all from me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do hit the like button. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.